Arsenal Football Club are the third most successful club in English football. Since being founded in 1886, the club has won 13 league titles, a record 14 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, and a European Cup Winners' Cup. However, their last FA Cup win was in the 2019-20 season, and their last title win was almost 20 years ago under Arsene Wenger. That squad, with names such as Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira and Robert Pires, went through the season unbeaten, earning the nickname the Invincibles. Last season, Arsenal led the Premier League for much of the season, but after suffering a number of losses towards the end of the season, they were pipped to the title by Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. In today's video, I'm taking over the Gunners for 3 seasons on FM24 to see if I can bring some success back to the North London club. And we'll have a busy schedule in season number 1 as we battle it out for the Premier League, the FA Cup, the UEFA Champions League and the Carabao Cup, with the Community Shield against Manchester City coming in just 33 days. The board have given us just £5 million to spend in the transfer budget, but there is £200,000 per week spare in the wage budget. So I'll have to see what I can do in the transfer market as we head into season number 1. So there wasn't a great deal of business done in this first transfer window, as there was only £5 million available in the transfer budget. Let's start with the outgoings. James Sweet goes to Leeds United for $325,000. Kane Edwards goes to Bournemouth for $450,000, and the 2 young goalkeepers Adjahiri and Graziak, they go to Sunderland and Blackburn for $230,000 and $160,000. Just 2 players joined the club this summer, the first being 20-year-old American right-back Joe Scally, who comes in from Gladbach for £4.5 million. Now, he's not going to be a starter this season, he's more of a backup to Ben White, but I see him breaking into the team in seasons number 2 and 3. The second and final transfer to come in was Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting. Comes in from Bayern Munich for $650,000. Again, he's just a squad player. He's 34 years old. He's still got decent attributes, so hopefully he can make an impact from the bench this season. The Champions League draw was made and we face Sevilla, Red Star and Antwerp in our group, so I'd expect us get through this one into the knockout stages. If we take a look how the season started, 2 losses to Manchester City. Foden gained the winner in both games. The first one was the Community Shield. We then beat Sheffield United 4-0 in a first home game. Gabriel Jesus getting a hat-trick. The draw at Wolves is very disappointing, but hopefully we can pick things up as we get going. As for the tactic for this first season, a 4-3-3 controlled possession is what I'm going to use, and if we quit pit without restriction, there's no shocks in there. Choupo-Moting and Joe Scally are just squad players. Hopefully they can make an impact throughout the season, so let's simulate season number 1 and see how we do. So season number 1 is over and we were able to do some business in the January window as the board gave us £60 million to spend. We also brought some money in through player sales as Fabio Vieira joined Everton for £22.5 million. Leandro Trossard and Jorginho went to Newcastle for £27 million and £11.25 million, and we offloaded Cedric to Girona for £600,000. Now, the players we were able to bring in the club, first off, Valentin Barco, who came in from Boca Juniors for £8 million. Rooney Bargi also joined from Copenhagen for £15 million, and Martin Baturina came into the midfield from Dynamo Zagreb for £12.5 million. Now, them 3 transfers are looking towards next season and the 3rd season here at Arsenal, but Josip Satalo came in from Ajax, central defender, for £80 million. I felt we needed backup in there. It can rise to £92 million, but he is a real quality defender. Competitions wise, we finish in 4th place in the Premier League, 8 points behind winners Manchester City. We were up there for most of the season in 3rd and 4th place, so we do qualify for next season's Champions League. As for the Champions League, knocked out in the round of 16 by Red Bull Salzburg. Very disappointing there. As for the FA Cup, 3rd round we beat Charlton, 4th round we got past Stevenage, so we had a nice kind draw. In the 5th round we beat Tottenham away, a London neighbours, 3-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The travelling Arsenal fans will have loved that result, but we did go out in the quarter-final, losing on penalties away at Aston Villa. However, the aim of this 3 seasons at Arsenal is to win as much silverware as possible, and in the first season we did lift the trophy, winning the Carabao Cup. In the final, we beat Manchester City 1-0 with a winner from Bukayo Saka. Now, the goals throughout the squad, Martinelli with 20 in all competitions, 16 assists, very good season from him. Gabriel Jesus, 19. I'd have wanted a bit more from him, really, as a main striker. Saka with 16. Nketiah with 10. We need a lot more goals in this team if we're going to trouble Manchester City for the Premier League title. Now, we have been given 94 million in the transfer budget, so let's see what we can do as we head into season number 2. So season number 2's transfer business is all wrapped up. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting heads to Al Riyadh for 1.1 million. It never worked out here, but at least we made a profit on him. Mohamed Al Neni, he heads to West Brom on a free deal, as do a number of young players who just weren't going to make the first team. They've gone out on free transfers after the contracts ran down. Now, we had 94 million in the transfer budget this season. 86 of it goes on this man, Victor Osimhen from Napoli. Now, last season we didn't score enough goals to really trouble the top teams. We were very good at the back, the best defence in the Premier League. It was scoring that was a problem. Hopefully this man will fire the goals in up front. The other transfer I made, Nicholas Heddle, comes in from Rapid Vienna for 19 million. David Raya went back to Brentford. He was on loan for us in goal last season. Didn't play. He was a backup to Ramsdale. This man will be back up now, but he's a very good young goalkeeper. As for the tactic, I've changed it this season. It's a far more attacking one. Hopefully it'll bring far more goals than the tactic I deployed last season. And if we quick pick without restriction, this is the best 11. Ramsdale in goal, Tomiyasu at right back, Saliba and Gabriel in the centre of defence, Zinchenko at left back, Rice and Odegaard in the centre, Saka and Martinelli on the wings, with Gabriel Jesus and Victor Osimhen up top. We also have Kieran Tierney coming back from his loan at Real Sociedad. We have a very good bench, a lot of young players. Sotalo as a backup to the 2 central defenders. I'm quite confident for this season, so let's simulate season number 2 and fingers crossed we can win some more silverware. So I bought Victor Osimhen in at the start of the season to bang in the goals and really make a difference. He's done exactly that. We win the Premier League title on goal difference. We were level on points with Chelsea. Exactly the same losses, draws and wins. But we scored 20 more goals than him throughout the Premier League season. Osimhen banged in 31 goals, 4 more than Erling Haaland. He had the highest average rating in the Premier League with 7.64. Most player of the matches with 11. Bukayo Saka also getting getting 15 assists. And that wasn't the only trophy we lifted this season, as we do the quadruple, winning the Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup on top of the Premier League title. If we take a look at the Premier League, we had a rocky start, but were then second for much of the season until the final day when we pipped Chelsea to the title. Chelsea drew their last game with Southampton 1-1, whereas we won our last game 1-0 away at West Ham to win the Premier League title. Now, I certainly wasn't expecting to do the quadruple, far from it. I was hoping for a Premier League title with maybe an FA or Carabao Cup, but we won everything we were in. Let's start with the Carabao Cup, where we came in the third round, beating Cardiff on penalties, so just scraping through there. The fourth round saw us beat Everton at home 3-2, so another close game there, before hammering Manchester United 6-2 away at Old Trafford. The semi-final saw us beat Aston Villa over two legs 4-2, before beating Nottingham Forest in the final 2-1, with goals from Nketiah and Jesus seeing us lift the Carabao Cup. Now, if we look at a run in the FA Cup, we once again come in at the third round stage, this time beating Portsmouth 3-0, before once again facing off with Manchester United, where we won in extra time away at Old Trafford 3-1. The fifth round of the FA Cup saw another 6-2 win as we beat West Ham at home, before beating Chelsea in the quarter-final 3-1 after extra time. The semi-final also saw us need extra time as we dispatched Everton 2-0. And the final was far more convincing as we beat Aston Villa 4-1 at Wembley. Now, the board were expecting us to reach the semi-final in the Champions League. I certainly wasn't expecting that, but let's take a look at our path to the final. We weren't so convincing in the league phase of the Champions League, finishing in 15th place. We actually lost 3 games, demolished by Barcelona 4-0, losing 2-0 to Inter, and losing 1-0 to Dortmund. We also drew against Bayer Leverkusen and picked up wins against Nice, Rangers, Red Star and Anderlecht, which you certainly would expect. That saw us go into a knockout playoff round where we beat Marseille 7-3 on aggregate. We then faced a tough tie in the round of 16 as we were drawn against Inter, who had beat us in the league phase, but they posed us no real problems as we won the first leg 4-0 before losing the second leg 3-1 and going through 5-3 on aggregate. The quarter-final looked to be an even tougher draw as we were drawn against Bayern Munich. It didn't prove to be the case. We beat them 7-1 on aggregate with a 6-1 win away in Munich. And the semi-final couldn't get any tougher as we were drawn against Real Madrid, but we swept them aside, winning 5-2 over both legs. This saw us face Liverpool in the final in Munich, where we won 3-0 to lift the Champions League with 2 goals from Kai Havertz and a single goal from Victor Osimhen. Osimhen was joint top scorer in the Champions League with 12 goals, level with Mbappe, and Bukayo Saka was second in the assist chart, setting up 9 of our goals. Now let's take a look at a squad, what we've done over the season. I brought Osimhen in to bang in the goals. He certainly did that, as he scores a massive 54 goals in 62 games in all competitions. He also assisted 19 of our goals and had a massive 7.63 average match rating. Bukayo Saka was also on fire this season, scoring 29 goals and assisting a massive 30 throughout the season. Nketiah had a really good season as well. Only started 10 games, 47 from the bench. He grabs 19 goals and 10 assists. Martin Odegaard chipped in with 14 goals and 14 assists with a very decent 7.13 average match rating. Now, if I can be a little bit critical of anything this season, which is hard after winning the quadruple, It is with Gabriel Jesus. Now, he didn't score that many last season. I was expecting more from him this season. He only bags 14 goals in 53 games across all competitions. He is wanted by Real Madrid. Maybe this summer is the time to cash in on him and bring someone in who's going to help Osimhen up front and bang me in more goals. As for the rest of the squad, I'm proud of all of them. They've all chipped in with great performances, goals and assists throughout the season. Two players who didn't feature this season, Joe Scally and Martin Bacciarini. I might have to decide to let them go this summer, as I can't see him featuring in the final third season. As for season number 3, I don't see how we can top season number 2, but we'll certainly give it a go and try to add to that growing trophy list. The board have given us £55 million to spend, not as much as last season, but we do have £400,000 spare in the wage budget, so let's see what we can do as we head into this final season number 3. The transfer business for season number 3 has finished. Sambi Lokongo heads to Sheffield United for £5.5 million. Next out of the door was Kieran Tierney, who goes to Newcastle in a £46.5 million deal. And Gabriel Jesus does head out the door, going to Liverpool for a £70 million fee. Emile Smith-Rowe heads to Barcelona for £21.5 million after spending last season there on loan. Now the transfer's in. Gabriel Barbosa joins on a free transfer as cover for Victor Osimhen. The next man through the door was right wing back Michael Kayode, who comes in from Fiorentina in a £36 million deal. He was closely followed by central defender Ousmane Diamonde, who comes in from Sporting for £55 million. And the final transfer, and this one is the marquee signing of the summer, attacking midfielder Jamal Musiala, who comes in from Bayern Munich for £106 million. The signing of Musiala made me change my tactic into a 4-2-3-1, and if we quick pick without restriction, Musiala goes straight into that attacking midfielder role. The other new signings and the rest of the players will have big parts to play, as we'll have that many games throughout the season. So without further ado, let's simulate this final season at Arsenal and hopefully add to the growing trophy collection. So the final season number 3's over. We lift another 2 trophies as we win the Premier League title and the Carabao Cup. We finished the Premier League season as champions on 90 points, 3 points ahead of Manchester City. We lost just 4 games all season, drawing 6 and winning 28. We have no scorers in the top goal scorers of the division, no top assisters this year. As for the Carabao Cup, we enter at the 3rd round where we get past West Ham on penalties after a 2-2 draw. The 4th round saw yet another penalty shootout win as we beat Brentford on penalties to go through to the quarter-final, where we faced Southampton and we absolutely destroyed them 7-2. The semi-final saw us face London neighbours Chelsea, where we beat them 6-3 over 2 legs. And the final is the one that the Arsenal fans will have loved, as we beat rivals Tottenham 3-1 to lift the Carabao Cup. It was disappointment in the Champions League though, as we were knocked out in the round of 16 by Real Madrid. The group phase saw us lose 3 games against Barcelona, Napoli and PSG. We beat Karabag, Red Bull Salzburg, Manchester City, Celtic and AZ Alkmaar, but we did have to go through the knockout playoff round as we beat Atalanta 6-4 on aggregate. This is where we faced face Real Madrid in the round of 16, and despite winning 1-0 at the Emirates, we were beaten 5-1 at the Bernabeu. The FA Cup saw us enter in the third round, where we beat Blackpool of the Championship 10-0 at the Emirates. The fourth round caused us no trouble either, as we beat Norwich at home 5-0. And another season, another time we dumped Man United out of a cup, as we beat them again 2-0 in the fifth round. The quarter-final saw us beat Leeds 5-1, and we once again knocked Tottenham out of a cup as we beat them 2-0 in the semi-final at Wembley. But we couldn't go all the way this year, as we were beaten 4-3 by Liverpool in extra time in the final. We were winning 3-2 in the final until the 86th minute, when Liverpool equalised through Jota. A heads must have dropped then, as Darwin Núñez hit the winner in extra time to lift the FA Cup for Liverpool. We did start the season off losing 2-1 to Chelsea in the Community Shield, but we did lift another trophy. I'm not sure whether we count this one, but we did beat Roma 4-1 in the UEFA Super Cup before the season got underway. Now we'll go through all the squad, all the goals and assists that won the Premier League title again to retain it. But I want to start by saying what a disappointing signing Jamal Musiala was. Now he's an absolutely fantastic player, but when I stopped the simulation in January just to check if I had any funds to spend in the transfer market, I noticed Musiala was injured with a broken lower leg and would miss 4 months. Now I checked through his injury history. He's been nothing but injured since he arrived. 4 weeks out with a twisted ankle, 3 weeks with sprained knee ligaments, again with sprained knee ligaments, 5 weeks out that time, pulled knee ligaments 3 weeks, sprained ankle ligaments 4, a broken toe 6 weeks, then the bruised ankle for 2 days before breaking his leg and being out for 4 months. He recovered from that and then was out for another 4 weeks with shin splints. Throughout the season, he's played just 19 games, 3 from the bench. He has scored 7 goals. He got 2 Player of the Match awards, but it's just not good enough for a £106 million player. Now, the board hadn't given me any January transfer funds this season for a change, so I was forced to sell Jacob Kivior, who joined PSG for 48 million. I bought in Conor Gallagher just on a free transfer as cover, and Gonzalo Ramos joined from PSG for £62 million. Heading back to the squad page, 28 goals from Osimhen, not as many this year, although he was away for a month for the African Cup of Nations. Eddie Nketiah at 23 with 10 assists again, another good season from him. Bukayo Saka with 22 goals, 26 assists, absolutely brilliant, although he does want to move to Paris Saint-Germain. 20 from Kai Havertz, 17 from Martinelli. Ramos hit 10 goals in just 18 starts, with 5 assists, a 7.25 average rating, so he did absolutely brilliantly when he come in January. The rest of the goals were spread out through the team, so they all had the part to play in the Premier League title and Carabao Cup wins. So everybody, that's the end of today's video. I do hope you've enjoyed it. We set out at the start of the video to lift as many trophies as we could in 3 seasons at Arsenal. We certainly did that, as we lift 2 Premier Leagues, a Champions League, 3 Carabao Cups, an FA Cup and a UEFA Super Cup. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments if there's any clubs you'd like to see me do next. But until the next video, that's all from me. Goodbye.